You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hello, everybody. I am Steve Willis from the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. He is Tom Vanderford doing his weekly segment on all things Ole Miss football. And Tom, just so you know, and just so everybody knows, by this point, I have seen Dial of Destiny this week, so I'd like to apologize to Florida ahead of time.
Good deal. That's a good omen.
Yes. Yeah, anytime I watch that movie, I get Thanos-like powers, and my wife just like, she's right now, my wife's at work just randomly rolling her eyes, and she has no idea why.
I get that. I get that.
Yeah. So this game against the Florida Gators, absolutely massive stakes. Now, you have a whole bunch of people around the country from opposing fan bases of Ole Miss that are wish casting an upset. They are wish casting chaos on this game. And since Florida is one of the better teams that is playing a playoff team this weekend, Florida gets a lot of the credit. But when you actually look at this Florida team and what they do, this is a fairly good matchup for Ole Miss.
I think so. I think our defense is going to be the stalwart of the game. They have a lot of injuries in the defensive backfield, which is good for us. We've got a good passing game. Hopefully Trey's coming back. As I've mentioned earlier, I think Trey being out was actually a good thing for our offense because it forced us to use more weapons other than him. So now if he's not open, we probably have somebody that is. I look for it to be very close in the first half and for us to pull away in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's important in this game, and I've talked about this all week. It's important for Ole Miss to kind of front run a little bit in this game. You don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to play catch up against them because that's kind of playing into Florida's hands. They can dictate defensively what they're doing. Your offense doesn't have the unpredictability. And I do think it's important if Trey Harris comes back that Ole Miss incorporates Trey Harris into what they've been doing the last 3 weeks as opposed to going immediately back to what they were doing with Trey Harris before.
I agree. We need to use our tight ends more. It may just be wishful thinking, but I think number 22 is going to get some playing time, and I think he's going to show up and show out. I may be wrong. Yeah, I've been wrong before, but I just think that they've been saving Diggs for this game.
Yeah, and I do think, and I do want Logan Diggs to get some carries in this football game, and not necessarily anything meaningful, but just to get a couple of carries, to get some contact, because it is important. If Ole Miss wins this game and beats Mississippi State, beats two true freshman quarterbacks, they're in the college football playoff, and you would like to have a contact calloused Logan Diggs, because coming in cold, that's always a scary thing because of what with ball security and everything else. There is an element of kind of getting used to getting hit again.
Right. And our offensive line's the healthiest it's been all year. So let's see if we can run the ball a little bit as well.
Wide receiver, we talked about Trey Harris, but I genuinely don't think that Trey Harris is going to be the wide receiver star of this game. He might be. He might catch 255 yards worth of catches like Jordan Watkins did at Arkansas. But I think Caden Lee has a chance in the middle of the field to be the guy that really makes a couple of huge plays in this football game.
Oh, I agree. Caden Lee is unbelievable. You know, he's a true sophomore. And he's unbelievable. He's one of the best receivers on our team.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, you have Princely and Mommy Ellen, who is going back to Florida. This is obviously going to be a huge game for Princely. And you have a situation to where if anybody knows Billy Napier's offense, it's somebody that practiced against it every day for 3 years. So that's a pretty good thing as well. Sontaran Perkins, TJ Daughtery, Pooh Paul, all of those guys are important, but interior defensive linemen against a quarterback that doesn't want to scramble and move around. If Ole Miss gets pressure at Walter Nolan, J.J. Pegues, Xavier Harris, that is the game changer that Ole Miss is looking for in this football game.
I agree with that completely. Isn't it awesome to have that defensive line? And listen, I wasn't too familiar with Princely Umanmielen at the beginning of the portal when we picked him up. But after that, I started following him, and the amount of trash that the Florida fans were talking about him, I think he's going to really want to show up and show out in this game.
Yeah, if Ole Miss can control the run game, this is going to be a very important piece. If Ole Miss can control the run game and the short passing game to force obvious passing situations to happen on third down to where Princely Umanmielen and Suntarine Perkins can tee off on DJ Lagway and rush the quarterback, Florida's in a little bit of trouble if that happens. One thing to pay attention to is Florida stays on schedule, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, first down, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2. If that happens, you get into a little bit of a routine similar to what Kentucky was able to do against Ole Miss earlier in the season. So it's going to be important to put Florida into lost yard situations and long yard situations. One thing to remember in this football game that's different from Kentucky, 9 out of the 11 series that Florida had against LSU last weekend was less than 5 plays. They need explosive plays to score. They have trouble driving the ball, and DJ Lagway at this point in his career throws the ball downfield, deep passes, or outside the numbers, nothing really in the middle of the field. So Ole Miss has a good chance to affect this passer this game.
Oh, I agree. I think we need to get pressure on him. I just when you look on paper, and of course paper doesn't mean anything, but this game shouldn't be close. And if there's one thing I've learned this year, Vegas knows what they're talking about. And, as of the taping of this, we're 10-point favorites. So there's something to that when you're favored by 10 on the road.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be pretty good. Anyway, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. When we come back, we talk about how nice it is for somebody mine and Tom's age to be an Ole Miss fan right now and how much we are enjoying this. Stick around for that. All right, folks, it's time to level up your football season with Prize Picks. It's the ultimate way to add some real excitement to your game day. Whether you're a stats guru or just love the thrill of daily fantasy, Prize Picks makes it simple and fun to turn your sports knowledge into real cash prizes. Here is what sets Prize Picks apart. You can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. That's right. Just pick more or less on player projections like rushing yards, touchdowns, or passing completions. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy. And that means if your players get hurt in the first half and does not return, your lineup still stays live. They've made everything so fast and secure. Withdrawals can hit your account in as quick as 15 minutes, and they even offer Venmo for deposits and payments. This week, I'm looking at the football board, and I'm going to kind of pick Patrick Mahomes. Can he get more than 1.5 touchdowns, and Jordan Jefferson to get more than 83.5 receiving yards? It's so easy to play. Just open the app, make your picks, and in under 60 seconds, let the fun begin. It's a blast sharing picks with friends, and the injury insurance gives me peace of mind. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $50 instantly when you play that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. And hello, everyone. I've got something for you that is a real game changer. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink, the world's first genetically engineered probiotic designed to help you feel great in the morning after a night out. Created by PhD scientists, ZBiotics tackles those rough mornings by breaking down a toxic byproduct in your gut that is responsible for hangovers, not dehydration like most people think. Look, I won't lie. I was a bit skeptical at first, but then when hanging out with some friends at a weekend barbecue, I decided to give it a try. I made ZBiotics my first drink of the night, followed by my usual favorite drink, and the next morning felt amazing. It was like I haven't even gone out at all. No sluggishness, no grogginess. I was just ready to take on the day. Here's how it works. ZBiotics produces an enzyme that breaks down that toxic byproduct in your gut that is responsible for those rough mornings. Just remember, for best results, make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. And of course, drink responsibly. Head on over to zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use the code LockedOnCollege. That's all one word at checkout. Plus, ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're not satisfied, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Remember, zbiotics.com/lockedoncollege and use the code LockedOnCollege for $15% off. Try ZBiotics. It is the key to feeling your best after a night out. So, Tom, getting ready to go to this game. You get to actually watch this game live. I hate that you could not see that Georgia game live. I genuinely hate that got taken from you. Because it was something. Now, it was stressful. All Ole Miss fans probably watched that game, and it was stressful. But at the end of it, when you just thought back of what you saw, it was like, man, Ole Miss kind of beat the hell out of it.
Exactly. That's what, a lot of Tennessee fans are barking junk on the internet. And it's like, I know we had a bad loss, but what you
so did they.
is as time expired, we missed a field goal. It wasn't like they beat the living dog crap out of us like we did Georgia and like we did Arkansas, the two teams that beat Tennessee.
Yeah, it should be quite. And it's just a crazy, exciting time to be an Ole Miss fan, especially for somebody that's our age, Tom.
Oh,
we're in that sweet spot to where we grew up watching football in the 70s and 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is very, very nice for somebody that's our age. Now, the younger fans that have gone through Hugh Freeze and all of this, they don't know. They just get to enjoy this. They're like a child, the baby boomers that went through the 50s. They're in the same boat that they're in. But the children that went through the 70s and 80s, they deserve their flowers right now. And they should be having a great time and enjoying every second of this.
Exactly. I know a bunch of folks here in Corinth. One of our listeners, our viewers, Mark Short, he's a little bit older than me, but he's the same way. We've suffered and walked through the wilderness for many years, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. Of course, in the back of my mind, you still have that worry as an Ole Miss fan. But if we go out and we execute like we're capable of, we'll do just fine. And then we come back home for the Egg Bowl. But yeah, it's special. At the beginning of the season, we thought that we would be in a position at this time to get in the playoffs. And even though we took the road less traveled by losing two pretty quick in the season, we're closing strong. So my hope is we continue to close that strong and have a good, solid victory in Gainesville. Come back and get ready for state.
Yeah, and that's a game that we're not even going to discuss lines because the early line has come out on that one, and we're not even going down that road yet. I got to get through Florida before I can really think of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and this is the game. Ole Miss. This is the stakes, Ole Miss fans, that you're walking into this one. You beat two true freshman quarterbacks, and you are in the playoffs. And likely, there's a good chance that you host a playoff game just by beating two true freshman quarterbacks. Now, they're good. They're talented guys. I saw Michael Van Buren at the Under Armour game a year ago. Good player. Is a heck of a quarterback. But he still is a true freshman, which means they can be gotten. The same thing goes with DJ Lagway as well. So beat those two true freshman quarterbacks. It doesn't matter where the game is. Ole Miss got a gift by two things: Florida beating LSU and also Florida playing Ole Miss at 11 a.m. Both of those things are gifts. Just go down there and win the game. Come home, watch football games, compare to build everything up as this thing tries to reach a crescendo of the Sunday after championship games.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because if we went out, I see some people ranked above us losing for sure. Indiana, either Indiana or Ohio State's going to lose.
I think Texas is losing. I think Texas A&M's beating Texas.
Texas A&M may beat Texas. Don't laugh too hard, but Auburn could beat Alabama. You never know.
Auburn's about to beat A&M. That's about to happen. I'm gonna call my shot right now for everybody's watching. Auburn's about to beat A&M.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just like we said recently, when the spread is 2.5 points and it stays at 2.5 points, Vegas knows something.
Yeah, even though 95% of the money is on Texas A&M.
Exactly. So Vegas knows something. And so you never know how it's going to work out. But if we'll just handle business, we can sit back and watch. If we'll just handle business, I think we will have a home playoff game.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tom Vanderford joining the show like he always is. Tom, what do you got going on this week, bud?
Oh, dude, just relax. And, I had the old heart attack, and I'll start cardiac rehab next week. And I'm just going to sit here and chill, but I am going to watch the game live.
Should be pretty good. And if you have YouTube TV, and if anybody has YouTube TV, Ole Miss versus Florida is the 4K game of the day. And watching a game on that 4K channel, there's no commercials. You just get to watch it. It's unbelievably clear. It's really cool looking. So that I'm pretty fired up about that. Anyway, Tom, thank you for coming on the show, man, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Oh, thanks so much. And hotty toddy, everybody. And thanks for all y'all's prayers.